Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of the Strong and the Geek podcast.
Welcome back.
Yes, we took a week off, a little summer vacation.
Hiatus.
Now we're coming back to you with more news and stories and reviews and fun.
Hiatus, don't hate us.
Yeah, as always, am your host, Ben Ramirez.
You also are always him.
I am always Ben Ramirez, except on weeks where I'm not somebody.
Correct.
Just like this week, I'm hanging out with not the Macho Man Randy Savage.
Yeah, brother.
That sounded a lot like the Macho Man Randy Savage.
I know. Was that Hulk Hogan? Or not,
actually, that was not Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
Macho Man was more like, ooh yeah.
Oh jeez, don't do that again.
He was the Slim Jim guy.
Oh yeah.
Snap into a Slim Jim.
Didn't he die?
Yeah, he snapped into a tree trunk.
Oh man, I'll have to pour one out for him.
He was in a car accident.
Oh man, that sucks.
Yeah, sorry, the snapped into a tree trunk was something a friend of mine said once.
Oh, it's topical.
Yeah. All right. So, like I said, we took a week off, so there's more stuff to get to. But obviously, today we are going to be talking about Suicide Squad, which just came out.
Oh my squad!
We're also going to be talking about Batman: The Killing Joke.
Oh my joke!
So lots of Batman and Joker and etc.
All that sort of fun stuff.
But to get us started,
first things first.
What's going on with you?
So this week I had, as many of you know, we are in a heated election year, presidential election-wise.
Yes.
And so I had the idea and the wonderful opportunity to attempt to go to a rally this past week.
A wowie
for Mr. Donald Trump.
Hashtag American Tail.
Hashtag Make America Great Again.
Hashtag Make American Tail again.
Well, and on the Strong and the Geek, we don't express our specific political opinions. And I went to go to this rally not because I'm a pro or anti-Trump person on the air.
Hang on. Not Macho Man Randy Savage can have whatever political beliefs he wants.
Yes. No, that wasn't about that. It was just because he was there, and I was like, okay, it would be cool to go see something that might be historic.
I was going to say, this is a moment in history.
I go to, whenever there's a nearby political rally or something, and there's it's a famous person, I like to try and go see them if I can.
And you'll be able to bounce your grandchildren on your knee and say, let me tell you about our grand overlord Trump when he was just getting started.
Yeah, I went to see the King of America before his first term. Now he's in his 70th.
It's so good he found the fountain of youth.
Yes. Well, he invented, or he defeated cancer.
Right? Yeah, his health is fantastic. Death is a little pussy.
We have the best health. We have really great health.
Death is such a pussy.
Anyway, so they built a wall around death.
Yeah.
So this is what happened. So I go, and this is Mr. Trump talked about this and was really bragging about it. They sold out, so to speak. I'm doing air quotations, but you can't see them. It was free tickets, but here's the thing, is that they gave out 6,000 tickets for an arena that you can only have 3,000 people in.
Oh, Jesus.
So,
they did this at Cumberland Valley High School, is that right?
And they did that on purpose, so that way, one, it looks like there's a really long line back out the door, because people trying to get in thinking they could. Two, that way they obviously fill the whole arena, and gives Mr. Trump the ability to talk and the illusion that he has lots and lots and lots of followers, and he's unstoppable in the mid-state area. But they gave out double the amount of tickets.
What an asshole.
I didn't get to make it into. We were actually standing about 10 feet from the door when they announced that they had filled up.
Oh, really? You didn't even get to see the
wowie. The wowie. But unfortunately, I did experience some negativity and some how should I put this? Prejudiced statements while waiting in the line. But all of that disgustingness aside, I will say, those Trump supporters, they come up with some pretty funny buttons. That you pin on your shirts. I saw some comical ones.
Yeah, there's Hillary for prison.
Yeah.
And then there's
Hillary.
Yeah.
Hillary for prison.
Or Hillary.
Yeah.
Or Hillary for the pits of Tartarus.
Yeah, one of them was like what a liar, and it's just it just showed her face, but it caught me off guard.
And there was one that was no, say no to ovaries.
Yeah.
Hashtag novaries.
Oh yeah. Super novaries. My favorite moment, though, just before we move on, of the whole thing was when I encountered a gentleman who we were standing in the line, and he's walking by with two really big signs, like posters that he made, and they were written on both sides. And so the first one says, "The liberal media lies to you." Okay, that's a statement. It's a declarative statement. On the back it said, Hillary 2016, and then the other one said like Trump will save America or something. And then I want to get to what the back says of that one in just a second, because that's the one that kind of caught me off guard. But this dude is holding the signs, walking slowly down the line of people, like preaching the word of Trump to these people, like, don't trust Hillary, she's a liar, send her to prison, the liberal media will tell you this, but they're lying to you.
And they're all like, yeah, we're on board,
yeah,
buddy.
like, that was the thing, is like, he was like really like, and he was like yelling, like fire and brimstone, and I was like, does this dude realize that like all these people are on his team?
Yeah, like you're in the wrong place.
Who are you trying to convince? Like, they are with you, dude.
He's just looking for attention.
He was like mad, but this is the part that gets me. So he turns over the final one, the Trump for Make America Great Again or whatever, and it says on it, political correctness kills. And so I inquired, I said, what does that mean? And he says, well, political correctness has resulted in the deaths of hundreds. And I'm like, in what way? Like,
yeah.
I don't particularly understand. And then he was just like, it's just like the liberal media, it lies to you. I think the guy doesn't understand that, like, political correctness isn't like an entity or like a person. Like, you can't like hang out with political correctness and then he stabs you in the back.
Yeah, well, the other thing is, like, it's hardly even a philosophy. You know, it's the idea that just don't do things that make you an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, if something that you're going to say is going to... We've all been taught, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Right.
And that's literally just that on a societal level.
Right.
But people are like, I want to be able to discriminate against other people. How dare you tell me I can't?
And here's the thing, is like, dude, if you don't want to be quote-unquote politically correct, that's cool. But I just don't... Who died? Like, what... Who died?
I don't know.
You know what? No, he probably lost a family member to political correctness. That's why he feels...
And during Hurricane PC.
Yeah, like, there was a long-time battle with political correctness, and they lost the battle, so...
Political correctness doesn't care about black people.
Yeah, political correctness is a killer.
Take that, political correctness.
Boo! I'm PC for life.
God damn it.
Anyway, so...
I'm a Mac.
So that's kind of... Oh, fuck.
You remember those commercials?
Yes.
With Justin Long?
Yeah, well, that's pretty much how that ended.
Yeah, so... Boo. Okay. Boo, Donald Trump. Anyway, no. So, that's fun. I didn't go do anything like that. I did...
Well,
as always, I did watch a bunch of things.
I watched a lot of TV.
I rewatched Red vs. Blue, all
Okay.
of the seasons of that. God damn, is that well written.
Mm.
Like, the first couple seasons are all just jokes and whatever. But by the time you get into season 6 and everything after that, it's so well written, such a great narrative, and everything falls into place. If you guys haven't checked it out, it's fantastic.
I haven't checked it out.
The current season is actually more like an anthology thing, so instead of it being...
It's still on?
In the narrative. Yeah, they're in season 14.
Are they in Halo 5 now?
Well, this season they're doing multiple different things. Instead of it just being, like, using Halo 5 for whatever, they're also using, like, drawn cartoons, or they're using Legos, or they're doing a bunch of different things. It's still the same characters. So that was cool. I also watched a neat documentary about a director named Steve Calera, who is an independent film director who created a short back in 2003. Well, it premiered at San Diego Comic-Con in 2003 called Batman Dead End. Basically, it's a short 8-minute film. You can look it up on YouTube. Batman is after the Joker, and that's when an alien and a predator show up. The alien attacks Batman, the Predator kills the alien, then Batman and the Predator square off. Finally, Batman beats the Predator down, and it ends with 3 other Predators showing up. Super cool short film. It's made well. It's mostly just action.
That's cool that it kind of takes a hit from Batman versus the Predator, the comic.
Yeah. A couple neat things about it. Apparently, if you watch the documentary, they explain, for a very brief window, he actually had Sylvester Stallone signed on to be Batman, and Mark Hamill signed on to be the Joker.
I don't know how I feel about a sly Batman. That would be weird.
I mean, he has a good Batman voice, and I just don't know if he could be a good Bruce Wayne.
That's true.
I think he'd be a fine Batman. Well, maybe not now. He's getting a bit up there in years, but
Yeah.
But in any case, it was neat. And then he also explained how he still goes on to make independent films now. There's another one of them that came out that I did watch. It was his first feature film. It's called Hunter Prey. It is a sci-fi movie. It came out in 2009, but it's much more akin to a like mid to early 90s action movie than like a modern sci-fi film. It's like if you were to take The Predator and mix it with like Star Wars, you know what I mean? It's aliens and humans kind of playing a big game of cat and mouse on this desert planet.
This dude really likes Aliens and Predator.
Yeah, he's really into sci-fi.
Yeah.
He's a no, not xenomorph aliens in this case.
Oh.
But it seems like it's Predator.
And not like the aliens that we want to build a wall around.
No, not those type of aliens either. But when I say it seems like Predator, it's this game of cat and mouse. You know what I mean? And it's the way he does the music and whatnot. But then you have these big establishing shots of them walking in the desert, very reminiscent of Tatooine. In any case, for what it's worth, there were some moments in it that dragged. There were some moments that were kind of dumb. The last line of it was super poorly written. And then, like, it goes straight to credits, and I was like, oh, that's such a stupid way to... Like, you had a good ending, but then you ended it on a really dumb line.
What was the line?
It's an alien, and he's talking to the AI in his suit, and he says, let's get the 12 hells off this rock, or whatever, and then it just goes to credits, and it's like, oh, that's stupid. That's just a stupid line.
I mean, I don't know. I'd have to see it in context.
The 12 hells. It's one of those things where they do it a lot in movies and TV shows where it's like another culture, but they have very similar language to us. They just implant whatever we say with what they say. For instance, I'm currently watching Battlestar Galactica, and in Battlestar they have a pantheon of gods. So they say like oh my gods or whatever, and it's like, to me that sounds really dumb because nobody says that.
Yeah, but isn't that ethnocentric of you?
Yeah, I guess. But it's also a cultural appropriation. They're taking our sayings and making them theirs. So they're appropriating our culture.
Well,
and PC will tell you that's bad.
That's valid. That's a valid
point.
Ooh,
dude, brought it right around.
Yeah, valid.
In any case, I do want to say that Hunter Prey I think was great. You should check it out. Again, I found it on YouTube. I'm gonna give it a for what it is 7.5.
Okay, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Alright, so speaking about reviewing things, I think it's about time we talk about Batman, The Killing Joke.
Ah, yes, Killing Joke.
So Killing Joke actually came out a little bit ago, not this past week, but since obviously our hiatus, we missed the chance to talk about it. So, I got to go see it in the theater for the special one-night showing.
The theater!
In the theater.
And I watched it onto the internet.
Illegally.
I didn't say that.
Oh, okay. But, anyway, so... In the Killing Joke in the theater, there certainly was obviously the film, but also there was an extra, like a special bit where it was Mark Hamill talking about an interview with Mark Hamill discussing his journey as like becoming the Joker.
Like through the years, you
mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
okay. And all the way back from, and he also talked about how he got the part as Luke Skywalker and all that kind of stuff.
That's neat.
But it was really funny because he was talking about how originally when he heard about the Batman animated series and everything, he was totally on. He wanted to do it, but he wanted to be like an obscure character. Like he says in the interview, like he was hoping that he was going to be like Hugo Strange or something.
Okay. He never thought that he would be the Joker.
Well, apparently his agent. This is what happened was his agent said Mark, they want you to come and read for the part, and they want you to do Joker, and he was like, this is going to be a PR nightmare. Luke Skywalker can't be the Joker. And so that's pretty comical that he ended up being probably the best Joker.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
still my favorite Joker.
Yeah, of course. Hashtag my favorite Joker. That's my Joker.
Hashtag I'm with him.
So the actual film itself I enjoyed. And I know that it had mixed reviews. But let's break it down, obviously, first discussing the added stuff.
Okay, well, I also enjoyed... We actually just had a conversation on this. I also enjoyed the film, but I think you and I are in complete agreement with the fact that the fault in the movie is not the stuff from Alan Moore's The Killing Joke. The fault with the movie is the stuff that they threw in
Yeah, so
to flesh it out.
So for those of you who are not familiar with the Killing Joke for whatever reason, it's basically just, really quickly, Joker gets out of Arkham, it's written to be like the last Batman and Joker story, although once it was adapted to canon, they edited it. But Joker breaks out of Arkham, he gets a carnival and sets the carnival up, he goes and kidnaps Gordon, but he shoots Barbara through the spine, paralyzing her, so she went on to become Oracle after this. He kidnaps Gordon, tortures him, shows him pictures of Barbara shot naked, and tries to make him snap. And the whole point is to prove that anybody can go bad in one day. And it's highlighted with flashbacks from Joker's origin of how he had one really shitty day, and that's how he became the Joker after falling in the chemicals at Ace. It ends with Batman finally beating him, taking him down. Gordon's fine, and the ending is ambiguous because it shows Batman, Joker tells him the joke, which is an infamous joke at this point in comics. Batman reaches over and is grabbing him. The sirens the sirens are shown with the laughter, and then it goes dead silent. And that's the ambiguous ending: is did Bats kill him or did Bats bring him in? And a lot of people, like Grant Morrison, say no. Alan Moore wrote it that's the whole point. That's why it's called the Killing Joke, because Batman kills him. That's the end.
Whereas obviously in continuity,
they didn't kill him. Yeah.
They had to go the other way.
I like to lean on the side of Bats didn't kill him.
But he's Batman.
Yeah, and also
he's not a movie Batman either. He's a comic book Batman.
Yeah, but I like the idea of also that because Batman's talking about, and multiple times in the book, and the book starts with him talking about how I don't want to have to kill you. I want to try to help you, and then it's reflected at the end. He says kind of the same thing, and I like that idea that Bats is able to hold it in and do what's right, particularly because Gordon says, I want him brought in by the book. If Batman would have killed him, that would have kind of defeated, he would have won, Joker would have won. Yeah. So I like the idea that Joker doesn't win.
Well, it's just like Kevin Spacey in Seven, right? What's in the box? Mm-hmm. Don't pull the trigger, he'll win, this is what he wants, bang!
Yeah, and I like the idea but Batman has more control than Brad Pitt.
Yeah. Although I don't think Brad Pitt would make a bad Batman.
Yeah, I would kind of like to see, if I was going to see, I would like to see Brad Pitt as Hal Jordan. I think that'd be cool.
Oh yeah, he would make a good Hal Jordan. I think he'd be
a cool Hal Jordan. But anyway, so that's the Killing Joke, and that stuff I would have given a 9 out of 10. How they adapted it was shot for shot, Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy back to do the voices, which that is enough to get you an 8 for me.
It was great.
The animation was cool. The music number. So in the book, it's written. There's a little song that Joker does, which it's written in the book. It's just it's supposed to be a song, but in your head, you have to make your own music. So they turned it into a song, a whole musical number,
and it was fun.
It was fun. It was hilarious. Yeah. It was really dark and fucked up. Yeah, it was really good. So that part, awesome. Now, you were saying, the first 30 minutes.
Act 1 was, okay, so the number one concern that a lot of people have had with the Killing Joke. Now, mind you, this is a work of art. This is Alan Moore's, magnum opus, right?
Well, excluding Watchmen and Swamp Thing, but yes.
Right. So, here's the thing.
And V for Vendetta.
You and I think we're in agreement with this. A lot of concern with the book was that feminists took it as being that Barbara Gordon was just a plot tool used to make Jim Gordon. The fact that she's a person and that she's a superhero, none of that mattered. Right. She was just a tool at that point.
Right.
And what you and I both agreed to was the fact that it doesn't matter that it's Barbara Gordon. It's that it's Gordon's child.
Yeah, it could have been Bob Gordon.
Yeah, the fact happens to be that it's Barbara Gordon.
Right.
But Joker didn't kill her and strip her down and take or shoot her, strip her down and take pictures of her because she's a girl.
Right.
And he wanted to degrade her because she's a woman. He was just using whatever he could as a tool against.
Yeah, and there's
Jim Gordon. One second. The problem with that is that the people who made this movie thought, okay, we'll placate them by giving Barbara Gordon more of a story.
Right.
But this story is not about Barbara Gordon. This story is about Jim Gordon.
Right.
And his life and his struggle.
Right.
And his ability. So if they would have taken the same amount of time, that first act, 30 minutes or so, to make the movie longer, that's fine, I get it. but instead give us a little bit more back on Jim instead of on Barbara, then when he finally says at the end, we do this by the book, it would have been a bigger emotional payoff because we would have earned it. Whereas in this case, we get the first act with Barbara Gordon, even literally having her narrate the bookends of the first act, where she talks about at the beginning and at the end, and then she gets shot, and then she's just out of it. I thought maybe at the end they would bring it back to her, you know? And they didn't even do that. They just ended it the way they ended in the graphic novel. Right. So it literally was a different movie before connected to it.
Hold on. They had to end with her being Oracle, like loading up to be Oracle.
Oh, yeah, well, like a little post-credits sort of thing.
I would have... My thing is, I actually, if you take the 30-minute beginning part and look at it as its own story, not connected to the Killing Joke, I actually liked it.
It was a short Batgirl film.
I did like it. I honestly didn't like just how it... And even, like, the Batgirl sex thing, like, actually didn't bother me. At first I thought it would, but then after seeing it, I was like, actually kind of makes sense that she has this, like, invigorated by being with fighting crime, and so, yes, obviously some sexual, like...
Or sexual tension.
You know what? It actually made sense. Like, I was fine with it. If it would have been, like, you know how Pixar movies do the short before and then the movie?
Yeah.
If it would have been like that, like, a short Batgirl film that's not related to the Killing Joke, and then the Killing Joke, I actually would have been fine with it. It's just trying to connect them is where I agree with you, where it was like, this feels like two separate things that they're trying really hard to make one thing.
Again, I think that they could have shown the relationship between Jim and Barbara to then make it more important when she gets shot, but they should have focused more on Jim Gordon's life than on her life, in my opinion. I think it would have overall made it a better movie.
Yeah, or the other thing for me is, or if they would have made it, like, just connect better. Like, if it would have been them investigating, like Barbara investigating something, and she discovers that it's not, like, that the Joker is broken out and, like, wants to go tell Bats but doesn't get a hold of him. I don't know. Like, some way of making it connect more. It's just, it felt like the villain that they were fighting... Paris, France, yeah. He was...
Perry Francesco
He just was not related at all and then just, like, disappeared or something. Or if Perry France ended up being, like, working for Joker, or just some way to make it connect more.
It was... I don't know. But, so, because of the whole thing, I can only in good conscience give it, like, a 7. Because I feel like the first part kind of was so disjointed that I think they fumbled it a bit. I'm giving it, like, you know what I mean? Like, together I have to give it a 7. Separately, I give them both higher scores.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I give it a 7.5.
Okay.
Because I give it a 7.5, and if it was just the Killing Joke stuff, I would have given it a 9. But that other part, I would give, like, a 6, so it brings it down.
It's less than the sum of its parts.
Yeah. I don't know. All in all, I enjoyed it. I definitely will watch it again. And, when you have Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy, you can't go wrong with that.
Absolutely.
All right, so moving on. It's time for our Geek of the Week.
Big Geek of the Week. Ooh.
What on earth was that?
I was doing a thing.
Well, this week, we saw the beginning of the 2016 Summer Olympic Games in Rio.
Rio de Janeiro. I have diarrhea from the super bacteria.
Oh man, Zika.
I heard an interesting story from even before the opening of the Rio Olympics. Apparently, a Chinese swimmer and his cameraman were in a lobby when a drunk guy walked up to them, threw up on the swimmer. The swimmer went to go get himself cleaned up. The cameraman chased the drunk out of the hotel lobby. When he came back, all their stuff was gone. Turns out it was a grift.
Oh, wow, that sucks.
Yeah, that's how, clever the thieves are in Brazil. They use vomit as a weapon.
Good on them. Well, they are not the Geeks of the Week.
No.
So the Summer Olympic Games started, and I must admit, I am a huge fan of the Olympics. It's that magical time every 4 years where suddenly I forget all the things about this country that I dislike, and I'm just like, yes, America, let's do this.
Every 4 years is a big deal because we got the election and the Summer Olympics.
Yeah.
In the same year.
Yeah. It's the only time that comes close to how much I love America during the Olympics is the World Cup, which is 2 years away.
But don't you root more for... Wait, aren't you a Manchester fan?
Well, no, I'm a Manchester City fan in Barclays Premier League, but during the World Cup, I'm all for America, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, those are two sort of separate things. No, but in the Olympics, obviously, it's America all the way. So the first medal of the Olympics was awarded today for the women's 10-meter air rifle event, which is shooting a BB gun 10 meters at a little tiny target. It's a really small target.
Yeah.
And the winner was Virginia Thrasher, a 19-year-old who attends West Virginia University. She's a mountaineer, and she won for the United States.
She won the gold.
She started off the United States' medal count and gold medal count in style by winning the first medal of the Olympics.
Also, Ginny Thrasher is the perfect comic book superheroine name.
Okay, Ginny Thrasher, and she's a rootin' to an expert markswoman.
Yeah, no, she's a superhero.
That's why. She's a Geek of the Week for 2 reasons. 1, gold medal, cool. 2, you are definitely...
Get that bitch a cape.
Yeah, she's a fucking superheroine. Like, that's awesome. So, Ginny, congratulations. We hope that you will be in many more Olympics. You're young enough that it could happen. But 2, if you would like to start fighting crime, we support your decision.
Yeah, you might need to load something in your air rifle that's gonna stop criminals.
Well, I don't know,
like
man.
a tranquilizer BB.
You should see. No, but the unit, like what they have to wear for the event, they wear like these big like leather suits.
Yeah, I know you guys can't watch what Josh is doing when he's saying that, but he was just holding his hands over his chest like he had large breasts.
No, that's not. Well, kind of, I guess. But I wasn't focused on their breasts. I was focused on their shooting.
The women's shooters have these large leather suits.
No, okay, but what's funny is that if you saw the one of the people shooting, and this is funny because we're about to talk about Suicide Squad, one of them who was wearing red, I think it was one of the athletes from China, like her suit looked like Deadshot's suit from the movie.
Really?
And then they have a little thing, they wear this like thing that covers one of their eyes so that when they shoot, they can like shoot better. So literally, they look like fucking Deadshot. It was hilarious.
Interesting.
So we were sitting there and we were like, dude, she literally could be Deadshot. Like,
all right. Well, congratulations to you, Ginny. Thank you for making us all proud to be Americans.
Make America great again.
Yeah. Do you know if she's doing any other events?
No, that was it.
Okay. Well, then, good. One and done. Go home.
Yeah. As far as I know, I don't think she's competing in.
Get out of Brazil before you catch something.
I don't know if there are like higher meter air rifle events. Presumably, since it's a 10-meter air rifle, they're gonna have more. But I don't know.
Well, maybe they'll have some cool combined events, so she'll like jump through the air while shooting the rifle.
Yeah.
Isn't there a winter one where you ski and shoot at the same time?
You ski and then you shoot. But yes,
it'd be cooler if you skied and then shot.
Yeah, but then
at the same time, like James Bond.
But you'd have to like be in control of a lot of different things at once.
Well, that's what would make it so good.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Deadshot would be good at that too.
Yeah.
No, actually, no. Who'd be really good at that? Xander Cage.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Xander Cage is back.
So let's talk about that really quickly before we get into Suicide Squad. So we go to the theater. We see the previews, the trailers.
The premieres.
Yes. We see the trailer for Wonder Woman again, which, by the way, fantastic.
On the big screen, even better.
I loved it even more.
Yeah.
They did not show the Justice League footage because it's not an actual trailer.
Right.
But then we saw the trailer for Lego Batman, which looks so good.
Oh, I actually applaud. And I was the only one in the theater to do this. I actually applauded because when Alfred works backwards in time through Batman's filmography, I was like, oh my God, perfect. That was so well done.
And apparently the whole movie's going to be like that.
He's like, oh, we've gone through this before, Master Bruce, in 2016, and then 2012. Yeah, it was so funny.
2005.
And then
they said the bat nipples in 97.
Yeah, I couldn't help but laugh and applaud because it was just so well done.
Yeah, and we obviously are big Will Arnett fans. So he's going to be awesome as the voice of Batman.
He was awesome as the voice of Batman in the Lego movie.
Yeah, I was, at first I was like, oh, I hope I'm not going to think it's BoJack Horseman. But it's different enough that, it's still Will, but it's different enough that it wasn't BoJack.
But now he's not BoJack or Will. He's Batman.
Yeah. But that trailer was hilarious. And then we get a trailer for Triple X, The Return of Xander Cage.
All right, first, right off the bat, Xander Cage is the dumbest name for a character ever.
Secondly,
since Anastasia Steele, which apparently is the lead from 50 Shades.
First off, I guess second off, since you just had the first off. Second off, how is he skiing in the jungle? That whole trailer, he's skiing through the jungle.
It's so dumb that I didn't even register that he was skiing. You're right, he's skiing on trees.
On trees and on leaves and the ground.
Like Tarzan's, foot skiing on the trees in the Tarzan
which
movie.
was also stupid.
Which was a cartoon, not starring freaking Vin Diesel.
Thirdly, whatever she says, the line at the end of the trailer, like, guns, girls, global domination. Xander Cage must be back, or something like that. Like, what?
It was literally like she was reading the movie poster.
Yeah, well, 100%. It was the...
They were just like, hey, Ruby Rose, can you read this?
It was the stupidest thing.
We're going to turn the camera on you at the very last part. Can you just, raise your eyebrows a little bit?
Like I will say that in the year 2016, that was the second worst trailer I have seen. That just makes me totally wish a film would stop being made. Not like don't see it. Like, please don't make it.
Also, can I point one thing out really quick? There's going to be a movie coming out called Triple X that is starring a guy named Vin Diesel and a woman named Ruby Rose, and it's not a porn.
Yeah, yes, and it's the return of Xander Cage.
Everything about that sounds like a porn.
It's a porn.
They don't need to make a porn parody to that. They just need to show the director's cut.
Right. Yes. The skis will be used in a weird way in that one.
Yeah.
No, but that's the second worst trailer. The first worst trailer, by far, is that fucking movie with Kevin Spacey turning into a cat.
Oh, 9 Lives.
That is literally a sin.
Wow, I don't know how that happened. Did Kevin Spacey lose a bet, or did he owe someone a favor?
Because Jennifer Garner's in it too, and she's, other than those venture card commercials, she's kind of been blowing the radar pretty well. So her, I can suspect. But Kevin, come on, man, House of Cards, now House of Cats? Pull it together, dude.
Yeah, he was in one of the Call of Duty games recently. He's in House of Cards. You should be on top of the world, and now he's a cat.
He went from Lex Luthor to... cat.
Did he it was one of those things that you sign the contract and then you're forced to do the movie, right. And when he first got it he was like, 9 Lives, that sounds like a political thriller or whatever,
yeah.
And then they were like, no, you're gonna be magically turned into a cat. I was like, yeah. I bet, what?
Oh, or he thought it was he thought it was a Catwoman movie, and he's like, oh, I'm reprising my role as Luthor, that's cool, yeah, sign me up. And they're like, no, actually you are going to be turned into a cat by wait, and who's the guy who turns him into the cat?
I don't remember.
No, it's
I tuned it out.
What's the more cowbell guy? I think it's him.
Oh, really? It's Christopher Walken?
I think it's Christopher Walken. Let me look this up, but I'm pretty sure that Christopher Walken is the guy who, in the trailer, which is basically him being the same guy in Click.
Yeah.
He's the same dude.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's, what's the word for it? It's like a spinoff.
They're building,
they're building
their universe building.
An Adam Sandler cinematic universe.
His name is, in the movie, Christopher Walken is Felix Grant, and he's the guy who turns him into a cat with his cats. Also, Robbie Amell, so Firestorm.
Jesus.
Firestorm's in it. We have a pretty big cast here for...
Is he related to Stephen Amell?
Yeah, it's his cousin.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
They look alike, dude.
Well, yeah, but they're both, handsome white dudes.
No, but you can tell they're related. Yeah. I'm pretty sure they're cousins. So yeah, 9 Lives, this is a tangent, but...
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
0 out of 10.
You know what sucks is that, I'm so excited about the Olympics, but then now I'm depressed, reminding myself that Xander Cage and
that these
is
are
a
things.
thing. Is a thing.
Oh, man.
Alright, so now... talking about what made me happy but depressed you.
Yeah.
Suicide
Now we're
Squad.
going to talk about Suicide Squad, and so that this doesn't fall into chaos, I want you to tell us what you thought of the movie, and then I'll just tell you what I thought of the movie. We don't need to fight about this.
Well, no, I think we should just go through and talk about what we liked and what we disliked. That's the fair way to do it.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so I will do our out of 10 out of the gate just to show I've seen the film twice, so I have a little bit of a more insight into it. I will say the first viewing, I gave it a 7. The second time, I caught a lot more. It made a lot more sense to me the second time, which is the same thing that happened with BVS. I would give it an 8 after the second time, and I can explain why. But now you have a more...
I saw the movie last night. I'm going to give the movie a 3.5, and I will also explain why.
Right. But you tend to agree with critics more often. I tend to agree with...
I haven't read the critics' reviews.
Okay, but I'm just saying, and I tend to agree with, like, comic book fans more often. So.
Fair enough. I know that Kevin Smith gave it high marks.
Yeah,
I watched his review of it after the movie.
Kevin Smith loved it, and after I went back and after seeing it, I read his review, and I agree with him on a lot of things. Like, we had the same kind of opinions. So, for starters, I thought the casting in this movie was very, very good. I liked Margot Robbie, phenomenal Harley Quinn, in my opinion.
Yes, I will agree with you there.
Deadshot, great.
Will Smith was perfect.
I liked that. Well, see, the thing is that I like that they changed the Deadshot's traditional characterization into they made him a black guy, which I thought was cool, and they made him like more like urban compared to this like.
Yeah, well, they have Will Smith. They got to give him. He's Captain Charisma.
Right, and Deadshot is normally more like kind of like a renegade, kind of almost cowboy sort of thing, modern cowboy thing going on.
Yeah.
Whereas here he was more like urban, and I thought that was cool. Like. That he was a hitman. His introduction with that mob scene, or the assassination scene of, I would presumably was like a mob guy or a politician.
Someone who was about to turn on somebody.
Right. I thought that was awesome. The entire introductions in the beginning I thought were sweet. I liked them all.
Okay. Yeah, I think the introduction part was done well. I liked that it did that kind of like stop and the name popped up on the screen and their list of offenses and stuff. The one thing I didn't like about it was that they went away so fast that I couldn't actually read what it was they had up there.
Right, and I think that was the point.
Now, I know on Deadshots the list was so long that it didn't matter.
Yeah.
But on some of them, the list wasn't short. Like, I could have read it if they gave me 2 more seconds.
Well, and that's the thing is that it's because it was you didn't expect it. Like, the second time, I definitely saw more. But they were funny. Like, if you read them, like, for instance, Rick Flag, at the bottom, they said about his, like, golf. Like, he plays with a 3 handicap. Like, that's funny. Like, I like that they put those, like, nonsensical things. Deadshot being an expert in it that just lists a long list of, like, every kind of firearm.
Now, I also think Viola Davis did a good job as Amanda Waller.
I loved Killer Croc. I thought he was awesome.
I thought Killer Croc was great. Introduction-wise, fine. The only thing I didn't like about him is that they wrote him about halfway through the movie as, oh, he's funny. He has these like little one-liners in there that were actually charming. Why has he not spoken to this point in the movie?
Because Killer Croc doesn't talk a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, if he could have, like, to that point, I just assumed, oh, they're writing him as a mute. He's just a monster in this movie. And then by the end of the movie, he's actually had several lines.
But that's kind of, I think that's, with Killer Croc, that's kind of the point. That you're supposed to first buy into the fact that he's a monster. And then you remember that he's a guy underneath it.
I don't know, I would have liked to have him literally said anything. Even if it was just, like, they hit him, and he's just like, bitch. You're like, whatever. Just so that I, as an audience member, knows he isn't an animal. He does have a human brain.
It's kind of like the Hulk, you know? Like the Hulk in Avengers, he wasn't funny out the box. He had his funny moments near the end. But during when he's first hulking out, you think he's just a crazy...
Well, but his are more physical comedy.
But, yeah...
Except for Puny God. That's like his funny line.
But I'm saying, it's the same concept.
Yeah.
Know? So Croc, yeah, Slipknot. So I had a couple people telling me like, oh, why did they even have Slipknot in there? That's stupid. But those people don't understand. That is verbatim what happens in the comic books. The only exception is it blows up on his wrist, not his head. Yeah, that's the only difference.
I would have liked if they would have done an introduction like they did for the others for Slipknot, just so that you don't. Like, when he showed up and there wasn't an intro for him, it was clear. Yeah. Now, I knew it out of the gate.
Right.
But to the common viewer, they were like, well, who the fuck is this guy?
Right.
I would have loved if they would have done an intro for Slipknot, show his actual abilities and what he does with them, and like pull off a jewelry heist or something.
But he's a stupid character. That's the point. Is they picked a
and
stupid
then he
character.
dies almost immediately.
Like his ability is tying ropes. Like that in the comics, that's his power. That's just idiotic. It's like a Matter Eater lad.
I also thought that Harley Quinn was fantastic.
Harley Quinn was awesome.
I loved it. I think the intro was a bit longer than it needed to be for hers because they were...
Well, 2 reasons.
It took away time from others.
No, but I will say that the reason why I'm okay with that is, 1, because they are trying to get a little... obviously a lot of Mad Love influence in there, which is one of my favorite books, so that was cool. 2, I'm so happy that they showed the iconic image from that cover of her in the actual Harley Quinn animated series costume with the Joker, like, holding her.
But I'm also glad that they didn't put her in that costume for the whole movie.
Yeah.
Because it looks... In the real world, it looks so weird that if it was a whole movie with her running around in that, it would have just been ridiculous.
Well, you would have thought she was cosplaying.
Yeah.
Like herself.
Whereas the suit that they went with the little booty shorts and whatnot was totally fine.
And I think it's like, and this isn't even a thing about like me staring at Margot Robbie's ass the whole movie, because I tried not to.
But the cameraman clearly was.
Well, but you know what though, is that I heard some things about people saying like they were unhappy about how they feel like she's been sexualized, but they don't get it. That's Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn uses her sexuality all the time to get what she wants as a weapon, to make friends with Poison Ivy.
Her, Catwoman, and Poison Ivy are women who know how to use their sexuality as weapons.
And you know what? And in reality, that's the truth. That like femme fatales are a thing.
Yeah, that's their character.
A character who this is my first critique of the movie. That a character who I actually thought was really good and well cast and was funny and I liked, but I just wish was used more, was Captain Boomerang. I wanted more Captain Boomerang.
You see, now here's where we're gonna butt heads a little bit. I like Captain Boomerang. I don't like Jai Courtney.
But why? Like, you don't like him as an actor?
I don't like him as an actor.
Okay, well then you have to take that bias aside.
No, bias aside. I don't know. It was weak. I thought it was a weak performance.
In what way?
There was nothing to give. They could have had any actor play that role, and it would have been the same thing.
Well, but I thought he was funny. I thought his delivery was. I wanted more of him. That's like saying the Joker did a weak job, but he had 10 minutes.
It could have
put anyone.
I don't know. Maybe it was more on the writing than on Jai Courtney directly, but there was nothing. Like you said, there was nothing for him to do.
Well, but his I don't know. I liked his lines. I liked his talking about like when he's like being held and he's like, I was just hanging out and then I see a red blur and now I'm here. Like, what happened? And they're like, yeah, haha, you were like robbing diamonds. Oh, that ain't me, mate. Like, or him getting his beer. Like, sorry, love, they do that with the boomerangs and stuff. I wanted to see more boomerang action. I love Captain Boomerang is one of my favorite Flash villains, so I really wanted to see more of him. So that was a little disappointing for me.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if they would have made it, I wanted to see him at odds with Deadshot over who's kind of in charge.
But he's not. He was very clearly not in charge.
But that's the thing. I wanted to see more from him. I wanted to see these guys at odds with each other.
It also cracked me up.
But I have a reason for that too. So.
But it also cracked me up that when they said like, all right, well, you're free to go, and he just literally the second Rick Flag says you're free to go, he just gets up and walks out. That was perfect. But then he turned around, he came back, which I was like, that's cool, that's good.
That was perfect.
But I would have honestly been fine if he would have just left and legitimately been gone.
Like the rest of the movie,
because that is Captain Boomerang. Yeah. That is what he would do.
Yeah, that was a good choice.
What I was gonna say to your last point was that I think that they were trying to stress the idea of that no, this is honor among thieves. That these guys are, which honestly, this is how the Suicide Squad works. That initially they're a little hesitant, but when they band together, they are a team.
Well, I will get to the reason why I say that initially as well, when we get out of the characters and get more into the story of it.
The other thing that I enjoyed what they did with, so for example, with Katana, is having Katana come in, and it's seemingly random and not like big for her. I actually like that because as a comic book fan, I like it watching the film thinking, no, I don't need you to explain to me why Katana's here. I know why she's here, because I read the comic books, I understand. I get for the average viewer, it's like, this is random. Like, well, why is Slipknot here? Why is Katana here? Why'd you throw in Captain Boomerang? Like, that kind of stuff. But I like that these movies are made for us, the people who read them, the fans.
Here's my problem with Katana, and why I think she was actually one of the worst parts of the movie. Not because the character isn't cool. The character is very cool. They bring Katana on, and everything we know about her, they just gave us as exposition. They said, oh yeah, she has a sword that steals people's souls, so you better watch out. And then later she's talking to her sword, and he's like, her husband was killed with that sword.
But that is what
happened. His soul's in there.
That is her.
Yeah, but it was just like, it was almost as if someone who reads comics or had watched this movie was telling me about the character. But like, oh yeah, and then there's this cool samurai chick, and her sword has souls in it and stuff.
But listen, but wouldn't, no, but hold on a second.
Show, don't tell.
No, but the reason why they can't do that is because think about what they're doing in the movie. Rick Flag is not telling, he's telling them because the Suicide Squad don't know. That's what he's like. Wouldn't you say if someone should, hold on a second. No, you're like laughing. But if you were introducing your samurai friend whose sword has souls in it, you would say, this is my friend. By the way, her sword has souls in it. Like, you would tell them that. That would be the first thing you let them know.
But you're talking about real world stuff in a world where there's a killer croc.
But I'm saying when you have this person on your team, he's explaining to them, this is why we have her, because she's a badass samurai. Oh, and she also has a magical sword.
I don't know. I feel like
and then when she's sitting there crying, talking to her sword, yes, of course he's going to be like, the reason why she's doing that is because her husband's in there. Like, it's making sense of it.
I don't. It was, to me, it was dumb. It was dumb. You could have had her in something else and then bring her in this movie so the audience knows her backstory.
Yeah, but that's
instead
not
you just have, oh, she's a samurai. Whatever, I don't give a shit.
That is her backstory. Her backstory is literally just that her husband was murdered by the mob. She got the sword, and she wants to and with her upgraded powers,
now she's gone all vigilante.
Is a vigilante. Justice. That's literally her whole story. You need a whole movie for that.
She didn't need to be in this movie.
No, she was cool, and it's because she's a member of the Suicide Squad. It's New 52 incarnation. So.
Whatever. Okay. If we're gonna talk about the characters,
also, if her sword wasn't there, how would have Harley Quinn cut out of Enchantress of the Heart?
I'm pretty sure they could have figured out. Maybe get one of Captain's boomerangs. Boomerangs were on the ground.
But there was a magical sword.
Before we get into the meat of this, we do have to talk about one other character, which was Enchantress.
Yeah.
Which was cool at first. I thought, like, the character design, with the first scene when you see her was really creepy when she comes crawling out of that, like, hole.
It reminded me of, like the Ring. Yeah, the Ring, or the Grudge a lot. Yeah.
I thought that her character design was awesome at first. And then she turns out to be the villain, which is fine, until her motivation. In my opinion, worst comic book movie villain we've had so far. Really? Except for maybe, like, Galactus, because he's just a cloud.
Wait, why?
She literally wakes up, gets her brother, and says, they don't worship us anymore, let's kill them all.
Yeah,
there was no depth to her character.
She's a demon witch.
There was no depth to the character.
She's a demon witch.
It was idiotic. It was absolutely idiotic.
She's a demon witch that wants to rule the world.
No, she won't. It's dumb. It's dumb to have a character that's just like, I'm going to kill for killing's sake. We talk about this on the Marvel side all the time. You can't just put up blinders because it's a DC movie. She was a bad villain.
No. I'm not going to say that she was like a well-characterized villain. Enchantress was actually I agree, is one of the weakest parts of the movie. But in terms of, like, her goal makes complete sense to me. She's a vindictive, evil witch.
It's just evil for evilness' sake. Yeah, and her brother was literally just
witch.
So they could have a destruction piece.
Yeah,
something to destroy things.
Well, and that's how Incubus is.
Now that being said, I do think that the way they got rid of her was cool, and the fact that Rick Flag, like, ultimately decided that it's better that she dies.
Right.
I was like, okay, that's cool. Why did she change back? That was one thing. She had this really cool costume, and then she randomly turns into, like, Cher on a Vegas show, where she was, like, big and flashy.
That's because, like, that's her actual, like, form as the Enchantress, isn't, like, the dirty, locked-up witch.
Yeah, but then she went back to that form to fight them.
Right.
Why?
That
was weird, right?
Yeah, that was something that I didn't understand, but it's...
They had a cool character model on her, and then they had this really bizarre, again, like, Vegas showgirl sort of thing. I would have preferred if the Enchantress would have stayed, like, a shadowy ghost demon the whole time. And it was kind of weird, her standing up there. For whatever reason, she started talking in English after she became magic, came back as Gandalf the White.
No, hold on, no. She was talking in English to them.
Yeah.
She would speak to her minions and her brother in their witch talk.
She did a weird, like, twitchy dance sort of thing. I don't know. From the point where she becomes Magic Queen of the Vegas show to the end, that whole segment where she's, like, white-faced and flashy-haired, I was like, this is the dumbest villain I've ever seen in my life.
No, see, I would.
She looks like the boss of an RPG. Like, she's literally standing in one place and things are flying around.
Right.
Like, you have to...
Well, she's a witch.
You have to come at her at a semicircle because that's the way that the map is drawn for
her. Yeah, well, she was a witch.
God, it was dumb.
Oh, see, I mean, I don't think that she's a worst villain ever. I honestly would have preferred if it would have been, like, another villain and Enchantress would have been a member of the team. I would have preferred that, but I wasn't like...
Well, let's talk about that, because here was the thing that when I started watching the movie, I was like, and I figured out what the movie was, because up until then, all I had seen was clips of them shooting and things blowing up and them breaking some things. So I didn't know what the movie was really going to be.
Right.
I was under the assumption that it was going to be a heist movie.
No.
They put together this team because, not necessarily they need to steal something, but they need a team and they need each one's talents.
Right.
That's not the case. They put together a team of metahumans because they just happen to have metahumans. And, like, some of them aren't even metahumans.
Right.
They're just crazy.
Well, with abilities.
Yeah. So, Well, not necessarily.
No,
like,
no,
Harley doesn't have an
no,
ability.
you
She's
can
just.
say,
I mean, she's talented.
But you can say Deadshot's.
No,
has a
yeah,
power,
he is a metahuman.
Has a power.
Absolutely. And so is like Captain Boomerang, but not necessarily. In any case, the point I'm making is, I thought, like, especially when they were doing the intro showing all the characters, they're going to be like, okay, we need Deadshot because we need, the sniper. We need Captain Boomerang because of such and such. Like, they need each part because of a reason. Instead, they didn't. In fact, they didn't need the Suicide Squad at all. They sent an army with the Suicide Squad.
Right.
That's why the Suicide Squad banded together right out of the gate, and they're like, we need to stick for each other. If it was just the Suicide Squad thrown into a situation without that whole army and whatnot there, then we would have seen more chaos and more character development in the actual squad.
Right, but here's the thing. You have to understand, and seeing the movie the second time made me understand this more. It wasn't that they were assembling the squad for this task. They were, Amanda Waller, as they mentioned, that she's been trying to get this task force made, and Superman's being gone or whatever has given her leverage now that she can have it happen, be a thing. She's been trying to have them made. So when she finally gets the approval to get them and start recruiting them, then this Midway incident happens. So that's why they say, holy shit, we can't handle this right now. So, Amanda, you have your squad. Now's their debut. Let's send them in there. So it's rushed because the necessity rushed it. And when Amanda was in Midway City's trapped, which the spoiler is that it was her all along they were trying to save, that's why they're like, we got to get Amanda Waller out of there. Use her task force to do it. And but there's an army. We've encountered an army in the city now that's been created. So no, don't just send the task force. Send backup too. So the second time I watched it, it made much more sense.
I don't know, dude. The thing about it that frustrated me was, it was to me it was supposed to be like a lighthearted sort of.
But you can't be unhappy with a movie because it's not what you wanted it to be. Because
I absolutely can't.
No, because
I'm the viewer.
But you're not the director. That's like saying like oh, I think the movie should have gone this way, but it's not your story. Like your own. If you want to make your own story, you can go write your own story, make your own movie. This is David Ayer's movie.
Okay, well, I don't think that he made a good Suicide Squad movie.
Well, I bet I could argue that I wanted.
If you have a team of rogues, what do? They push each other. They push around, they poke around, and then they each have a job that needs to be done to get off a task. It's Ocean's 11. It's Heat, man.
But this is the thing, is that because you wanted the Suicide Squad to be assembled to do a specific task. Here,
yes.
But the plot of this, that's what Suicide Squad 2 will presumably be. But Suicide Squad 1 was the forming of the team and then their first job because they're rushed into it. They're forced to act. So send them in there.
But the other thing about it is,
because they're expendable.
But they were thrown at something that another thing about it was the Suicide Squad, in my mind, and maybe not in other people's, but they're not the group that goes to fight the giant monster. They're the group that goes to do something covert and secret under the table. They're the ones that are going to go steal, someone has nuclear launch codes, you know what I mean? Send the Suicide Squad. We can disavow that the American military was ever there.
Well, this is what they did here, is if let's say they were able to catch Enchantress and get her back, if they say the United States Army did all this because we were trying to acquire our weapon back, so to speak, that's going to look horrible PR. If they say, no, these terrorists, this group of known superhuman criminals were attacking the city, and that's what caused all this destruction, they were here to stop them. That's what they're the patsies, like Will Smith says. They're the excuse, and that's why Will Smith's making the point that, like, we're the bad guys, and they're going to blame us for if this goes sour.
No, but the point that I'm trying to make isn't that why they would use the Suicide Squad for this. I'm saying, why was our Suicide Squad movie...
It's hard to say.
Suicide Squad movie also a giant monster destroying the world movie? Those two, like, maybe it's just because the studios are so afraid of making a superhero movie that doesn't involve big destruction and world annihilation to make a small story. But to me, it was supposed to be a smaller story. It was supposed to be this group that pulls something off that no one would know about. But and in the end, everyone goes about their day. I mean, they're going to have huge ramifications from this.
But you have to review that. That's the point. Is that this is another stepping stone in this larger connected universe.
If they keep making stepping stones like this, there's not going to be anybody left. They've destroyed Metropolis and Gotham, and now half the world. How much shit? Oh, well, I mean, half the world militarily.
Yeah.
Because they made it clear that she was targeting.
Gotham wasn't destroyed. Gotham's fine. The only part of Gotham that got wrecked was an abandoned neighborhood.
Yeah, and Metropolis. So nice that it happened to be abandoned.
And well, no, Batman.
I know.
That's my thing. Is like if you're gonna give it, but if you're gonna review it, you have to review the content of what is there, not what you wished was there. I wished in Star Wars that we had more Luke Skywalker, but that's okay because that's coming eventually. You want a heist movie? That's okay because that's coming eventually. But you have to understand the content of this movie.
Okay, well, I was bored in this movie.
Okay, because it wasn't what you wanted, which is fine, but I
don't know. Yeah, that's why it got a lower score.
I know. I just think they're like sitting there being like, wow, I wish I was hoping that this was like a jewel heist, but that would have been boring too. Like, I don't know. It would have been.
How do you not like a heist movie?
I like heist movies,
and I don't necessarily mean a jewel heist. I mean something where all of their talents are needed together instead of apart. Okay. This Deadshot had his own thing, and Harley Quinn had her own thing, and Killer Croc had his own thing. They all had their own things. You don't have a team to have a bunch of different people doing their own thing. You have a team because each part is needed. That's why at the end of Avengers or at the end of X-Men Apocalypse or whatever, each one is using their own ability to work together to defeat a particular enemy.
Right. But I think that is going to be... I mean, I think that's going to be Suicide Squad 2. I really do.
If they make a Suicide Squad 2, that's the problem.
It's already been greenlit, so... And the movie, there's no chance that this movie doesn't make a shit ton of money. It already is busted the Thursday opening for August. It's right now, it's on track to be the biggest August opening ever. Yeah. It's going to make the money it needs. And fans are responding, like Batman Superman, fans are responding well to it against what critics said. So... I don't know. I think, and as a comic book fan, I was just like with Batman Superman, the best part was just seeing this in action. I've always wanted to see Harley Quinn in a movie with the Joker. I've always wanted to see Deadshot and Captain Boomerang in a movie. Holy shit, can you tell me legitimately that when The Flash showed up with Captain Boomerang, that wasn't exciting? That was fuck yes, I cannot wait for Justice League. Having Batman just be on the wayside doing Batman stuff was awesome. I don't know. And the end... Alright, I will admit, one thing I was unhappy about was that there was a mid-credit scene. Because I was like, fuck, I wanted you guys to be different than Marvel.
Mid-credit scene that was completely unnecessary. No. Because we already know that Bruce Wayne is trying to put together a team.
But this is this goes back to what you were just saying, is that these and this is what changes here, is that these big global threats that should be Justice League business, not Suicide Squad business, now Bruce Wayne has made the point, Waller, keep your team off this shit, because we're going to handle it. Now, from now on, that's why I really think that next time it is going to be a heist movie, because the squad's not going to be handling these global threats anymore. They won't have to. We'll have the Justice League.
Nah, I'd still disagree. Now, there was another thing about it that was frustrating, which was El Diablo.
Oh, I liked El Diablo.
I liked El Diablo.
Yeah.
Here's my problem with it, though. Because the character had been written to just kind of be like, I don't want any part of this. The emotional payoff at the bar scene where it turns out, oh, he accidentally killed his own wife and children.
Right.
It was like, well, you didn't earn that. Because you didn't show him as being really conflicted. It just seemed like he didn't want any part of it.
Oh, if even the first time I saw the movie, I got the vibe that no, he's is filled with regret. I think that's just how you perceived it as a viewer.
Now, regardless of that, I thought, okay, that does give us a little bit more on the character. That's great, and it justifies his willingness to sacrifice himself at the end. He's dealing with this. He has nothing to live for. But
I like
the problem with that is, why did he Deus Ex Machina magic Super Saiyan form at the end?
Well, you got a glimpse of that before.
You saw him show a fiery skull, but you also saw him write the word "bye" with fire and make and dancing a flaming girl.
That was cool.
I thought his powers were super cool.
It was cool.
I loved how they depicted it. Except I'm not familiar with the character of El Diablo at all.
Right.
Is his power magical? Is it some kind of Aztec god thing? Because when he went all fire mode, he looked like a weird Aztec skeleton god.
Yeah, and I think that and the newest incarnation of El Diablo has this kind of fire, spiritual power.
Well, they literally gave us no explanation. He just said, "I've always been able to do this."
Right. Yeah. So which is fine. We don't need to know. That's why I like it. I like the fact that we don't need to know why Killer Croc just because he's born with this croc skin, why he can breathe underwater. Because you don't need to know.
Oh, so we also...
It's a comic
but
book.
we did need to know that Katana's husband was killed with that sword. So they gotta tell us that for certain.
Because that's Rick Flag telling them, oh yeah, this is why she's on the team. Like, you can see, like, oh, literally, why is Diablo on the team? Because you saw that, you didn't need to see the video of him roasting the yard, except that's why he's on the team, because he can do that.
All I'm saying is, with
why is he on the team?
Like, for instance, with Katana, if they would have just shown her looking at the sword and talking, not even give us the subtitles, just show us that she's remorseful as talking to it, it tells us more about the character than literally just giving us an exposition.
No, it doesn't. Shut like that. I will tell you to hold on a second. Because if you don't know, if you just see her talking to her sword and it doesn't even give you subtitles, you're gonna be like, what's she doing? Like, why is she talking to her sword? Like, does the sword talk back to her? Like, what's when you know?
Or maybe see the reflection of a man's face in the sword.
No, because that's like saying, but that's like saying, then don't show us El Diablo killing his family, because we don't need to know that. That's like your point is that we don't need to see it because that's exposition.
No, but they showed, didn't tell. He wasn't just like, and then I torched down my own whole house and my family. No, we saw it. Show, don't tell.
So you're saying you want to see
Katana, I want to see a scene where
Katana's husband gets
murdered. Her husband gets murdered, and then she grabs the sword and kills whoever killed him.
Okay, that's,
you know what I'm saying?
That's
show,
fair.
don't tell.
Okay, but we did see her murdering those guys.
Yeah, but that was oh, she's a vigilante. That wasn't the actual who she is, what's her motivation.
But she said something about
they just told us what her motivation was.
But she mentioned about her husband.
Yeah, but again, then they told it to us. Again, it's just show, don't tell. That's my personal belief.
I feel like you tend to find things, like you look for the things you dislike in the movie.
Now, here's the one other thing that I think we need to talk about before we wrap this up, which was Jared Leto's Joker.
Yeah.
I couldn't quite place my finger on, at first when I was watching it, how I felt about his Joker, his performance as the Joker. I don't think his performance as the Joker is bad. I think it's fine. I don't even necessarily think that this look of the Joker is bad, even though it's kind of hot topic-y.
He's a gangbanger.
It's bizarre. I think that my only problem with the Joker, now again, this is based on my understanding of the Joker, is that the Joker's a frickin' sociopath. You know what I mean?
Right.
He doesn't feel things for other people.
Okay, but that's some incarnation.
This Joker
loves Harley Quinn.
Is madly in love with Harley Quinn.
Which there's some iterations that is true.
Again, this is to me, so you can say whatever you want. The Joker doesn't love Harley Quinn until she leaves him. And then it's not love that drives him, it's obsession. It's madness that he doesn't have control anymore.
Which is exactly what happened here.
No, because
when he had her, he was freely willing to give her away. Like, I know they was fucking around, but still, like, he was like, whatever. Like, but now he's lost her. He needs to get her back. But that's his Harley Quinn.
But it wasn't like a thing that she pushed him away. She was taken away from him.
Right, and that's why he needs to get her back.
So I guess that's true.
Yeah,
it's just the motivation for it felt different to me. Like him moping and laying on the ground among all the weird knives, and for whatever reason, if you notice in the corner, like baby clothes,
yeah,
there was a lot of weird stuff around him.
It's the Joker. Of course there's weird stuff.
I'm like, why is he depressed? He's the Joker. He should go hit someone with a hammer or something. It'll make him feel better.
No, because the Joker, but that's just how this version of the Joker is written, and there have been versions where the Joker's like that, where Joker and Harley, no, they really do, like, they were crazy in love with each other.
Yeah.
In a really weird, fucked up way.
I don't know.
You're looking at it through the Batman animated series Joker.
Yeah, for me, the moment that she gets up into the plane, instead of kissing her, I would have seen him be like, good, you're back, let's go. You know what I mean? Like, that, to him, it was just about getting something back that belongs to him.
Right.
Instead of star-crossed lovers.
No,
you know
but
what I mean?
and that's, my opinion is always, I've mentioned this on the show multiple times, that I'm okay with them doing different versions of characters, and this is a different version, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay with Joker, because honestly, seeing all that really, really made me want Joker and Harley in the Batman solo movie.
I don't know.
I really want them in it.
It just, to me, it makes it seem like the Joker's less of a monster than he is. They kind of humanize him a little bit.
Which is what they do in the Killing Joke also.
Now, it will be a better payoff then if in the Batman solo movie, Batman tries to use Harley against him, and he's just like, I don't care. Right. You know what I mean? That'll be a better turnaround using this movie for that.
Or in the Harley Quinn solo movie, which is coming, and to have Harley Quinn do a good thing on her own, like she has in the New 52 and everything. Well, since the New 52 and now Rebirth, like, you have to have that moment where she finally says enough is enough and break from the Joker.
Yeah.
We saw And with any abusive relationship, you have to see how they get bought into it first, which we saw in this movie. That Harley Quinn is in love with Joker, but we saw some of his abuse to her also, a little bit, a taste of it. We need to see the next stepping stone here, the next piece, is we need to see the enough is enough, which is, for me, the first act of the Harley Quinn solo movie.
Yeah.
And then it goes on from there. So I actually was okay with that. I thought the Joker's laugh was really good. Like, I thought his laugh was very... Because it sounds like... To me, the fact that the Joker just actually laughs for real sometimes, I don't like, because it's like, oh, that's just him being a funny, laughy guy. There are other times where I'm like, when he has this kind of, like, crazy laugh, I'm like, yes, like, he's actually, like, it's a character that he has created for himself. That I buy into. But anyway, at the end of the day, honestly, like, I knew that this review, just like Batman Superman, was going to kind of turn into a little bit of, like, a bickering, like, arguing between us. The truth is, it's okay that I liked it. It's okay that you did not like it.
Yeah. By the way, just want to point out to our viewers, if you hear any weird little noises, it's because we were just joined by our extra special guest for the show, my baby, my daughter Charlie.
Yeah, so this is her first time on The Strong and the Geek.
She just turned 1 this week.
Yep. And she's the strong and geekiest of us all. So you'll probably hear a change in our tone and use of swears.
She is the smallest geek.
Yeah. But yeah, so, like, I guess my final thoughts was, in summation, I liked the Suicide Squad, the actual squad. I wish there was a different villain, but I'm excited to see what happens from here.
Yeah. I wish there was a different villain. I think the Suicide Squad should have had a task that required all of those particular people were chosen as opposed to other villains. And I just hope that Justice League and Wonder Woman are good.
They will be. They'll be good. There's no doubt in my mind they'll be good.
Yeah.
Honestly, the comic book movies are, in the end, they're just all have just, as a whole, are better than they've been. Actually, comic book TV shows are better. I don't know. I feel like we're doing just fine, okay? David Ayer, interesting choice. He made an interesting movie. Suicide Squad 2, I don't know if they're bringing David Ayer back or not, but if they wanted to pull someone else in and do your heist movie, that would be cool. But if they don't, I'm fine with it. I'm on board. And you guys all know that I'm obviously very DC biased, but I look for the good in it, and I found the good in it.
Yeah.
And also, I would say, as much as you are reluctant, I would honestly say give it a second viewing, because it's better the second time.
I think that for the first Suicide Squad movie, this one was too big. It needed to be a smaller story. But, whatever. In any case...
But we live in the era of, this is the one time where I will say, when you're trying to reel in the non-comic book fans, the people who don't read the source material, you need something big. Like, if they would have got people going in thinking, oh my gosh, people thought this movie was going to be huge, so they got a huge movie. Now that they've gotten their huge movie, the same thing with Guardians of the Galaxy, Guardians of the Galaxy it started off with that small, heisty kind of feel, and then became this big, thing. And this movie kind of fell at the same end to that, where Guardians of the Galaxy 2 might be a smaller scale. They've already said there's not going to be any Infinity Stones or anything in it, so it's going to be this smaller scale movie. And that's what I think. We do
have Ego, the living planet, played by Kurt Russell.
So I think that...
Who is also Star-Lord's dad? I don't know. It's going to be interesting how they pull that all together. And apparently, I'm splanking on his name right now. Yondu? Yondu's actually going to be a member of the Guardians now.
Well, anyway, back to... So, I gave it an 8. Sticking to it. Not as good as Batman.
I'm not going to change my review.
No. Not as good as Batman Superman, but good enough for me.
I think it was an unfortunate mess.
Okay, well, that's fine. Whatever.
In any case, so there you go. As you guys can tell, I'm not as mad as I am, disappointed. I wanted this movie to blow me away, and it just didn't work.
Well, that's the problem, is that you can't. I think you can't go into a movie with if you go into a movie with I went in with no expectations other than I'm gonna like it no matter
You
what.
did though.
No, I didn't. I didn't go in thinking.
You're a DC fan.
Yeah,
You wanted to see
but
this,
I'm not.
this,
But
and
I'm
that.
not. I'm not a huge Suicide Squad fan. Like I don't read all of the Suicide Squad stuff. I read enough to know. But I didn't go in thinking like, man, I really hope this happens, and I hope this happens. And this is why I was completely fine with what the movie was. I wasn't hoping like, man, I really hope that. Like honestly, the only thing I was hoping for is what I was disappointed about is I was hoping that there was a lot of Captain Boomerang. That was my letdown. Like, and that's about it. And I was hoping to see Batman, which we got to. So
We did, and I think the usage of Batman was fine.
I thought the usage of Batman and the Joker was fine. I was glad seeing them put to the wayside because I didn't want them to be the leads in this movie.
I liked the fact that Batman was like dropping in to take out Deadshot, but he's like, I don't want to do this in front of your daughter.
Right.
Like, just come with me.
Which,
and we saw Batman pull out handcuffs instead of just beat a guy and brand him.
and that shows that happened before he was so brutal as he is. Remember they said that since that he's become really brutal recently. Actually, you haven't seen the Ultimate Edition of Batman Superman, have you?
No, yeah.
Oh, in the Ultimate Edition they say, that there's a new kind of mean in him, and we saw what he was like before that now. So I liked that.
So presumably, how long has Floyd Lawton been in prison?
Probably a little while.
A couple of years, because whatever it is, it's been since Man of Steel.
It was 18 months, so he's probably... Well, he said he's been in Bel Rev for about 9 months. That's what because the one guy said, I've known you for like 9 months, and he must have been, and you get transferred to Bel Rev because it's a black site.
Yeah.
So he would have been in prison for a little while before that.
Yeah, presumably he was picked up a couple years, but then that would mean that his daughter is like 13, or was like 9 when he was arrested.
Yeah,
at least.
Now is 12 or something.
Well, no, she mentions there's an 11-year-old girl.
Oh, okay.
That's what Amanda Waller said. See, I only saw the movie once, and I pick it shit too.
So I mean, yeah, Suicide Squad. You did what you needed to do for me. You dropped the ball for him, but that's okay. But I think that you tend to like the Marvels better, so that's alright. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that I'm probably not going to give a shit about Suicide Squad. Sorry, baby. And I mean, not Suicide Squad, about Doctor Strange, and you're probably going to love it. So.
I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, see, I'm whatever.
And I think you're going to watch it and say, I mean, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't like the sorceress chick.
I don't know. It looks like Tilda Swinton.
That's already turned me off.
Well, that turned a lot of people off, including me a little bit, but whatever. I don't know. I think that one's going to be a lot more cerebral than the other ones have been. It's going to be like the Marvel Cinematic Universe first like thriller.
It looks that way, but remember, I mean, you thought this was going to be a heist movie, and so don't trust trailers.
Yeah, what if it just ends up being an extra long episode of My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic?
I don't know.
Just like Doctor Strange is magic.
All right. Well, I think we should finish off the way we always do with our Clash of the Tights.
Clash of the Tights.
You just startled your baby. All right. So, last time, 2 weeks ago, we put Sandman versus Clayface in a battle. And we were split. I said Clayface, you said Sandman. And the Twitterverse agreed.
And Charlie didn't have a vote.
And the Twitterverse has voted, and they also split 50-50.
Yeah. Which is funny because I initially said, I thought it would be a tie. But then I said, okay, but I think it'll be Sandman. But I said at first that they might gum each other up and just get stuck together. And looks like Twitter also got gummed up and stuck together. Meaning a tie.
Yeah, so good on them.
A tie, that little guy from Tie.
So this week, good on you, Clayface Sandman. Good luck. This week, we have a kind of switch of gears. Instead, we're going to venture into the Cartoon Network cinematic universe.
The early 90s Cartoon Network cinematic universe.
So in corner one, we have Monkey from Dexter's Lab.
Monkey, you have to help us.
So Monkey is Dexter's pet monkey that is actually a superpowered hero monkey.
That when he, for whatever reason, needs to, he just flexes and gets a cool suit with an M on the forehead.
So Monkey has the power of super strength, flight, and
monkey-like reflexes.
Monkey reflexes, and he can also shoot lasers from his hands.
Yes, he has laser hands.
So that's Monkey in corner one. In corner two,
we have. Do you guys remember Cow and Chicken?
Yeah. No. Yes.
If you don't remember, there was a show about a cow and a chicken.
Who were siblings.
But
they had human parents.
And
well, their parents were just pants.
They were
right?
just legs.
Yeah,
you never saw them from the waist up. Cow also had a superhero alter ego, Super Cow, that spoke specifically in Spanish. Hi, sweetie. Yeah, woo. All right, so Super Cow spoke in Spanish. She also has super strength, super fight, near invincibility. Invulnerability. And I recall in the show her using her udder like a machine gun to shoot blasts of milk, thwip thwip style.
Right. So I'm going to say out the box, I think this one goes to Cow. And this is why. Monkey has his laser blasts, but Cow has demonstrated the invulnerability, so I think that kind of negates that. And just based on, what I know about animal biology, a cow can defeat a monkey.
You see, now, again, I think I'm going to disagree with you on it, but this time we're switching. Because I think Monkey's going to win because of his simian brain.
Oh, so he has a more...
Oh, wait, but Cow can talk and stuff.
And Cow
She's more human.
Cow also has... Cow demonstrates, she's anthropomorphic. She demonstrates that she has, she can think and make cognitive decisions, whereas Monkey is just a monkey.
That is true. But I still think that his agility is he's going to be able to outmaneuver a cow.
That's true, but Super Cow is
and
pretty good.
He's going to put his hands in those big old nostrils of hers and laser beam her right in the brain.
Yeah, I will say the monkey has more combat experience, because he fights actual...
And he works for that weird space organization.
S.H.I.E.L.D. He works for S.H.I.E.L.D.
Space S.H.I.E.L.D. Which actually, Space S.H.I.E.L.D. is S.W.O.R.D. in the Marvel world. S.H.I.E.L.D. is here on Earth, S.W.O.R.D. is what deals with space.
Well, but I don't know. I think Cow's powers outweigh Monkey's. Win Cow for me.
Alright, well, for me, it's Monkey all the way.
Well, we'll put this one on Twitter, and you all can decide what you think, whether you agree with me, Super Cow, agree with him, Monkey. You can also let us know how you feel about Suicide Squad. Maybe you liked it, maybe you didn't. And you can also send us, as always, dick pics.
Yeah, and just a quick little shout-out. I was on a podcast earlier today. If you... now, I don't know when it's going to be up, but keep an eye out for it. It's called Geek News and Reviews. Hi! No, Geek News and Reviews. It's with my buddy Leaf down in Georgia. Him and I he called me up and we did a recording over the phone, talking about Suicide Squad. He hated it. He gave it a 2.
Yeah, but he doesn't like anything.
So. No, yeah, he's one of those that
he doesn't
hates
like
everything.
The only thing he likes is GameStop. And Leaf, I know you're listening to this, and just go back to GameStop.
Leaf and I are going to be doing weekly calls, but ours are much shorter than our Strong in the Geek episodes.
Right.
So, keep an eye out for that for whenever it turns up.
If you want to listen to a 15-minute bitch fest, listen to that.
Actually, that one went on for almost 45 minutes. Most of them are going to be quick, though.
Yeah, quick bitch fests.
Also, I used that opportunity to talk about how awesome Strong in the Geek is. So,
fair enough. All right, so join us next week when we will be discussing.
It'll be another 5th week top 5.
Oh,
it'll be
5th week top 5. Woohoo! Well, there you go. Follow us on Twitter at Strong and Geek. Like us on Facebook. Listen to us on SoundCloud, on YouTube, on iTunes. Subscribe on all of those media.
You can follow me at The Ben Ramirez. You can follow him at Remrez4Prez.
So
and you can't follow Charlie anywhere because she's just a baby.
All right, so you all stay strong.
And stay geek.
And baby, you stay strong and geek too.
Welcome to the post-credits scene.
I found a baby.
It's me, Eeyore. I'm really sad because Suicide Squad didn't have more Captain Boomerang, and Enchantress was a shitty villain.
Hang on, are you making fun of me?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, bother.
Oh, bother.
I love everything with DC in it.